Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Friday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios bunker in New Jersey and Chicago, Illinois. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks blog contributor extraordinaire, Vinnie Parise, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils are taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern start. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Vinnie, how are you, my friend? It's a long time no see.
I'm doing really good, Sam. I'm looking forward to this game tonight between the Devils and the Penguins. We haven't seen Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins yet this season, right? I don't think we played them yet. So, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's always one of those things that, it's fun to see. Ty Smith is going to be making his season debut with the Pittsburgh Penguins today. Obviously, John Marino's week to week with an injury there. But, that's still a great trade for the Devils, and the Penguins and the Devils making trades over the summer. It's a game loaded with superstars, right? You got the old guard of superstars with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, who have been two of the best forwards in the NHL in the last 20 years. I do believe there was a point in time where Crosby and Malkin were the two best players in the NHL playing on the same team. It's really not that much of a surprise that they won 3 Stanley Cups together and had an extra appearance in there where they didn't win. And, with the Devils, Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, guys who are hoping to have maybe even just a third of that kind of success. Because winning 1 cup is hard, let alone 3. So it's always a good measuring stick. I do believe the future probably favors the Devils a little bit more. But when you're in the present time with the Metropolitan Division as congested as it is, a game between these two teams, pretty important here on the second to last day of the month of December.
Yeah, and we're getting the comments already in YouTube Live and Twitter Live and and Facebook Live. Well, Facebook Live hasn't commented yet, but so happy Devils Friday to you, Mike Rossi. Rob Globosis, how big was the damage on the Amex bill? Anyway, inside joke. Judy says no excuses tonight. Pens are without Letang and Petrie. Also, she says, Sam, 8-8 is too much for Bratt. I would agree. I would agree on this, and here's my reason why. 8-8 for the Devils. Another team may pay something like that. They can't pay 8-8, but they can pay 7-8. But with inflation, the fact that the cap isn't really moving, almost devalues Jesper Bratt, what he could get out in the open market, potentially. So I would agree with you. 8-8 would be too much. But what are your thoughts? Not to change the topic right now, but it caught my eye. Because I looked at the cap. I look at the cap. Only going up $1 million. If the cap went up $5 million, then I think 8-8 is okay. But the cap's only going $1 million. And player salaries are growing. Something's got to get
He's eligible to sign an extension on Sunday. That's when he becomes, eligible to do so. I am not going to use this last little stretch of Jesper Bratt's Devils tenure to say I wouldn't give him 8-8. I'm also not saying I would give him 8-8. But during the stretch where the Devils were so good, and dating back to last year, there were people talking 9-10 by 8. He was putting up those kinds of numbers. And it's cooled off a little bit here. It's cooled off for pretty much everyone except Hughes. And I don't know. Can you make him a higher paid player than Hughes? I don't know. I wouldn't. But if he's getting 7.5, I wouldn't be too surprised. I do think Jesper Bratt has to start playing better. And I think he's capable of doing so. He's an uber-talented player. We've seen him be productive in this league. He's moved up back to the top line with Nico Hischier and Tomas Tatar. It's a European-heavy line there because all 3 of them are from Europe. And, I am bullish when it comes to Jesper Bratt, like really long term. But in the present, he's just been such a good player. I have no reason to think that he's not worthy of an extension. I just think out of all the contracts, like the writing was on the wall to me. There were people that despised me for it for a long time. But the Heischer contract was an overpay at first, but it quickly became an underpay. And, because I compared him a lot to Barkov. Like, Barkov's underpaid now for what he brings to the Florida Panthers. And Jack Hughes, same thing. He didn't earn $8.5 million. It was all based on his potential and what we believe he's able to do. That way, if he does become a 100-point player, he's the cheapest 100-point player in the NHL. And no team has won the Stanley Cup yet with a player on their roster making double-digit million. That's just yet to happen in the NHL. And it will happen eventually. The closest that came was Carey Price in 2020. Well, 2021. But, I do think it will happen eventually, as I said. But with Jesper Bratt, just get him extended. Don't pay him more than Hughes, maybe, fine. But, if he wants to be a part of something great, this is the place for him. Because, like I tweeted this morning, the Devils are in December. It's about to flip over to the new calendar year. Their 5 best players are the youngest 5 best players on an NHL team, of any team. And they have a top 5 prospect system that is got 2 superstars at the top of it running the table in the World Juniors. I know Team Canada is better than everybody, but what Luke Hughes and Simone Nemec are doing for USA and Slovakia right now is so impressive. I would want to be a part of it if I was Jesper Bratt. So hopefully he sticks around and doesn't try to handicap the Devils in the long term.
Well, there's some debate here because Steve Engel says the cap is going up $3.5 million. Dave Singer said $5+ million. Judy says $3.5 million. Steve Engel said already said on NHL Sirius XM radio it's going up to 3.5. Don't believe Sirius XM satellite radio on that one because it's Gary Bettman, the end-all be-all decision maker, saying it's projected to only increase $1 million to a ceiling of $83.5 million total. It's debatable.
Yeah.
But there is no really, again, there is no, these are all projections here. It's all speculation. Judy says Bettman needs happy owners, LOL. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'll tell you, you got to be careful here because the bottom line is nobody really knows what the cap is going to go to. It's all speculation at this point. The final numbers are not even in. This is all projection, right?
Yeah, I'm looking into it. I'm looking into it right now. NBC reported going up $1 million to 83.5. That was on December 13th, which is just a couple of days ago, like 2 weeks ago. NHL.com has a possible increase of $4 million going into 2023-24. It will all depend, according to this report from NHL.com, that it will depend on whether or not the Board of Governors decides that the $4 million of escrow that is owed to the league is repaid by the end of the season. So that will determine whether or not the salary cap goes up $1 million or $4 million.
And that's a big difference.
Huge.
When you're talking about 7 years, 8, the Boston Bruins, some of these salary cap strap teams may be a little screwed here, and you can't rely on that when you're negotiating with Jesper Bratt. That's all I'm saying.
They're in danger. There is one danger. So the Bruins have all these guys locked up to long-term deals for a little amount of money. McAvoy's locked up. Bergeron is on a one-year deal, but he's the elder statesman. Marchand's locked up. He's one of the cheapest 100-point scorers in NHL history, or in recent NHL history for what players are paid today. They have Hampus Lindholm to a really good deal. Their goaltender, Allmark, is a short-term answer, but Swayman's a young guy. Their problem right now is Pasternak, who has the rest of this year as an RFA left on his contract. Are the Bruins going to pull off some miraculous contract like they did with Marchand and McAvoy and Lindholm? I don't see it. Is he going to get $11 million? Maybe. the Devils are in danger of Jesper Bratt popping off like that and not getting anything less, than $8 million, right? That might be the minimum if he starts to pop off. So really, if I were the Devils, on Sunday, I would call his agent. If I'm Tom Fitzgerald, I would start his agent on Sunday, literally the day you're eligible, and try to get him as cheap as you can, because you never know what happens with a player's career. He could be overpaid. He could be wildly underpaid. If Jack Hughes hit the open market tomorrow, he'd make 12. And we got him for 8 for the next 7. So, you take what you take when you can. It's risky, but sometimes it works out in your favor.
Yeah. And, again, I'm still leery on Bratt because at times he disappears. That's what I think. But when he's
That's
not,
fair.
There are times where he kind of disappears. It's no coincidence that 6-game losing streak, Bratt was nowhere to be found. As soon as you start scoring, they won a game.
You got to ask yourself, do you think Bratt can drive his own line on every single game? We know for a fact that Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes can. We've seen it. They've both done it basically for the better part of the last 2 years now. They both showed signs of doing it as rookies, but Taylor Hall was there to help both of them. Now that they're on their own, you can see every game that he wins puck battles down low. He finds a way to gain neutral zones. He finds himself in front of the net. He can be the go-to guy on a line. That's why he's second on the team in goals. Jack Hughes, same thing. He's the first team in the team in goals and points, and he's probably going to break Patrick Eliash's single-season points record if he stays healthy. And then every year after that, he's going to try and break his own personal record. Those two guys have proven they can drive their own line. I do not have any evidence that Bratt can do it without one of them two every single game, no matter what. Otherwise, I do believe the three of them would play on 3 different lines. But, that's not necessarily a dig at Bratt either. You need wingers like that who are capable of taking advantage of these high-end centers like Hischier and Hughes. It just also, it will influence how much money he makes when that contract is presented.
Yeah. And sorry, I'm just getting distracted here, Vinny. Anyway, hold on a sec. Uh-oh. Something's happened on the board. But anyway, sorry about that, Vinny. Didn't mean to.
It's okay.
Yeah, just sometimes when you're producing, you kind of forget, where you're at.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I thought something was happening in the hockey world. Like, did Sidney Crosby just get traded or something? Like, what's going on here?
Well, I've been following, unfortunately the four murders in Idaho, and they found the people. They found the murderer or alleged murderer in the Poconos, 45 minutes away, and we were talking about beforehand that you drove through the Poconos on route to New Jersey.
Yeah, I drove through them in the dark, and that's one of the scarier things to do, I would say.
It is.
It was interesting. Being from the Midwest where it's all flat everywhere, that was a little bit interesting.
Yeah. And let me tell you, thanks Dave Singer. He's trying super chat today in the YouTube Live. Super chat. Try it out. I like super chat. I actually like saying super chat. But yeah, and there's also the scariest time being a Penn Stater. One time I had to take 81 North, where it's like near that Route 80 in the Schuylkill Mountains, in Schuylkill, Pennsylvania, somewhere. And it was so foggy. It was like cold out. It was foggy. And that was probably one of the scariest times in my life driving on that highway because I literally couldn't see in front of me. But I just kept going. I could barely see the lines. And I don't know how the tractor trailers were passing me. But in Pennsylvania, it's pitch dark out in the mountains out there on the highway. And it's just you. And this is before cell phones. Let me tell you, it was a scary time for me back in the day.
Yeah. It's scary now with cell phones. Those tractor trailers, they were making me nervous. I will say that.
Yeah, speaking of tractor trailers, we got some beef in the lineup tonight, don't we?
We sure do. Obviously, it looks like Alexander Holtz is back in the lineup. I had to write him down because my phone was dying. So I wrote down all the lines. And Holtz is on the third line with Boquist and Sharangovich. That's kind of a big boy line, right? There's a little bit of skill there, a little bit of skill that's waiting to break out, but also some beef. Wood playing with McLeod and Zetterlund. That's pretty skilled fourth line, too, if I do say so myself. Kevin Ball in the lineup, Damon Severson, his partner. Obviously, Siegenthaler and Hamilton are two pretty big dudes. And we have Ahotuk playing with Smith. We know that defense can be pretty big and mean. I do miss Marino and Graves, but, we'll get them back eventually. I do wonder if Ahotuk is going to be the one out of the lineup when those guys come back. But we did see Marino, Graves, and Palat taking part of some festivities today, and they looked like they were fine. So hopefully over the next couple weeks they're able to come back and help get this team back to where they were. But, there's definitely some beef on this team.
Yeah, and you know what? Pittsburgh has their challenges, but they're rising in the standings. Sidney Crosby being honored by the country of Canada. Also, Judy says Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, loves Penn State and Sam Wu. Well, I love Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I actually had Christmas dinner in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, when I was visiting the mother-in-law. Very, very nice place, Bethlehem. College town, kind of.
Interesting. I don't think I haven't ever been there. I've only been to Pennsylvania twice, but can't say I've ever been
Bethlehem, there's a lot of colleges there. There's Lehigh University. There's Northampton Community College, I believe. And then there's Moravian College. Then there's Muhlenberg College. And but nothing ever trumps Penn State University. That's all.
Yeah, as a Penn State alum, I'm very not surprised to hear you say that. I hope one of these days your Nittany Lions are able to finally win the Big Ten. Let's go, Sam. What are we doing here, Sam?
You know what? Speaking of, aren't the Bears hiring the Big Ten commissioner?
I was just going to say that, Sam. I live in Big Ten country. They're going to get the Big Ten commissioner. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. But, yeah, he's probably going to replace the new GM or the new president of the Chicago Bears. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But,
yeah. Wow, Judy is Judy on the YouTube Live. Whereabouts in Pennsylvania? Are you from Bethlehem? She's talking about Lafayette University, Lafayette and Lehigh. That's the big rival when they play football on Thanksgiving Day. Also for high school football, you've got Phillipsburg versus Easton. It's like the battle of the state line. I don't know if you know. It's probably the oldest Thanksgiving Day high school game in the country, I believe. I think it's going on 136 years or something like that. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, that is crazy. No, I did not know that. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Joseph Lanham says it sounds like Ty Smith is playing tonight. Peter Seifert, Peter Seifert. Is this a must-win? Is it a must-win?
In the sense of, are they out of a playoff spot and dead and buried if they lose? No. Is it a must-win metaphorically? Yeah, I guess I would say it is, because you could go from second in the division to sixth in one weekend. And the top 9 teams in the Eastern Conference are kind of separating themselves a little bit. I don't want to speak too soon. Last year, the top 8 were already separated by this time. It was so obvious what 8 were going to make the playoffs. But as of right now, you have the Bruins, the Maple Leafs, the Lightning, the Carolina Hurricanes, the New Jersey Devils, the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, and the Washington Capitals. I'm missing one. There's another one in there. Oh, the Pittsburgh Penguins. I just named 9 teams 8 of those are going to make the playoffs. Who will be the odd man out? I don't know. I honestly have no idea. My initial instinct was the New York Rangers, just because I didn't love what I was seeing from them lately, and they're scratching Alexis Lafreniere, and Capo Caco's not doing anything. Panarin's not scoring goals. He's got 20-something assists, but he's not scoring goals like we're totally used to him doing. I honestly don't know, though. The Islanders get hot and cold. The Devils are cold right now, but they were so hot they got tons of skill. So I don't know, but it's going to be tough. So, yes, every game's a must-win game going forward, especially when the Islanders, Rangers, and Capitals all lost yesterday, but they each got a point. I mean, it was a tough night last night watching the standings across the league because, man, seeing those 3 teams lose is certainly nice, but when they're each getting loser points every game, it's like, okay, Devils, let's go.
Wow. I'm just enjoying the conversations in some of the chat rooms. You know, it's like, it's tough doing a live podcast and reading all the chatter. And, okay, we will lay off Jesper Bratt, Ramona. We'll just lay it off.
We are a pro Jesper Bratt podcast. There's no doubt about it. We just need him to score goals. That's why we love Jesper Bratt.
No. It's not that we don't like Jesper Bratt. It's just I don't want to pay him as much. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, Jesper Bratt is the second leading scorer from his draft class of players drafted outside the first round.
Wow.
The only non-first rounder from his draft class that has more points from him is Alex DeBrincat of the Ottawa Senators. So it's definitely a interesting situation, but I don't know. I'm weird about it. I hope he earns a fair amount of money because that will mean he played well.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I'd like him to take maybe 7 years, $7 million, knowing that he wants to be here long term and giving a little hometown discount so it gives the Devils flexibility to get players around the core to win multiple Stanley Cups and become a once-in-a-lifetime dynasty in the NHL.
Who else in the NHL has a team as young as the Devils knocking on the door of the playoffs that still has 2 top 10 NHL prospects and a top 5 overall farm system? Who else can say that? The Lightning used to be able to say that, but they're starting to thin out a little bit on their prospect pool, and their Kucherov, Stamkos, and Hedman aren't 24 anymore. Pittsburgh, their prospect pool stinks. The other teams that have high-end prospect pools with the Devils are the Anaheim Ducks, right? But they're second to last in the overall NHL standings. The Kings are probably the closest to being what I described about the Devils, but the Kings just haven't been as playoff worthy, in my opinion, so far this year like they were last year, but they play in a very weak division, so they'll probably end up making the playoffs, but I don't know. I think the Devils long-term are in a really good spot.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our Friday night predictions, Vinny. Friday night predictions where we give you the score. What's your prediction?
Friday night prediction, I think the Devils are going to take it to the Pittsburgh Penguins by a final score of 5-3. All 3 first overall picks will score a goal tonight.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm going to rename it. Let's just be a little transparent with the fans. BetStamp is no longer sponsoring us, so we're just going to call it the Dave Singer predictions because he put in his prediction 7-2. Dave Singer doing the super chat, so you get the naming rights for this wonderful prediction bit that we do.
Make a logo, DS, and then use the Devils D and the Devils S.
Yeah, with like the tail, the Dave Singer
and then
predictions, the Friday night predictions.
Yeah, or you could just take the word Devils, like the script version of it. You know what I'm talking about? The
Dave
Devils
Stamp.
have it on some things.
Dave Stamp.
Dave Stamp. That's funny. That's funny. You can put his name in the middle, though. Devils,
Yeah.
get rid of the E, V, I, and L,
Yeah.
and just fit his name in there.
Yeah, the highest bidder in the super chats gets the prediction naming right. See, that's how creative we are. You know, we're a bunch of sellouts here on Game Day Live. All right, so what's your prediction, Vinny?
Yeah, 5-3. 5-3.
5-3.
All three first overall picks score goals.
5-3. Okay, 5-3. Dave Singer says, I think it should be named for Ramona because Ramona says it's 5-2 Devils. Hey, you know what? Ramona can also get the naming rights. And if somebody wants to sponsor Ramona to sponsor naming rights to call it the Ramona's Friday Night Predictions, go ahead. Just let us know in the super chat and just make sure you're the highest bidder. Yeah, 5-3 Devils. I like that. I think it's going to be offensive. I think the teams match up well. I think Ty Smith is going to be a pain in the butt, but I think it's going to be 6-4 Devils. 6-4. Lots of goals.
Love it.
Yeah. Lots
Absolutely
of goals.
love it.
And 5-2 Devils says Ramona. I like that too. I do.
Certainly.
Yep. And that's your Dave Singer Friday Night Predictions approval.
There you go, Dave.
Thanks,
Good work, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave, Ramona, all of you. Ramona gets it right more than anyone I've seen so far.
Wow. Judy says the anniversary tomorrow. I think Mario had like 12 different goals. Different goals, I guess, in some way. Ramona Rice says, I'm a professional gambler, Sam. Well, good. Oh, good. All right, Ramona Rice. Professional gambler from Kentucky. That's all right. Wasn't that a Kenny Rogers song? The Gambler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Ramona's from Kentucky?
Yeah.
She lives closer to me than you.
Hey, Vinny and Ramona, perfect together. All right, so let's see. Steve Engel. Steve Engel, let me tell you, my aunt worked for the Postal Service for many years in Toms River. Just want to let him know that. Anyway, want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast in 20 minutes. Enjoy the game, everybody. Devils, Penguins. Don't forget, Devils After Dark, after the game. Scotty of Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. This is the last Game Day Live in 2022. So on that note, we appreciate you, Vinny. We appreciate the fans.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We appreciate everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And, Vinny, I'll let you close out 2022.
2022 was a wonderful year here at Game Day Live. We can't thank all of the New Jersey Devils fans enough for supporting us, coming out to American Whiskey, those who said hello to me when I was in New Jersey a couple of weeks ago. I'll be back. Don't worry. We'll be doing the Game Day Live from American Whiskey yet again. Let's go, Devils. Let's get into the playoffs and have some of these live podcasts. Got a big year here coming up in 2023, starting with the All-Star Game. Hope everybody enjoys their time. Stay safe this weekend. And as always, let's go, Devils.